Kingdom Hearts is a series that is known for many different things. From its incredibly fun gameplay to its heartfelt stories and characters to its novel blend of Disney and Final Fantasy, there's a lot to praise in the series. But one thing that I see talked about quite a bit in regards to the series are the worlds, which are essentially the levels in the series. Fans of Kingdom Hearts talk about things like their story relevance, to their level design and detail, to their boss battles, to even how well they relate to their source material in relevant cases. But one aspect of the worlds that, while I do hear talked about, is not one that I think is talked about enough, or at least not enough for the purposes of this video, are the vibes. So yeah, in today's video, I'm going to be ranking the worlds in the Kingdom Hearts games based purely on vibes, and we're going to be doing it in a tier list format this time, because I hear that's what the young folk are into these days. We're not talking about level design, story, bosses, enemy placement, or any of that. We're going to be focusing on things like visuals, small details, music, and general atmosphere. I will mention things like story moments and bosses if I think they contribute to the vibes in a meaningful way. Also, when I say vibes, I don't just mean good vibes. Vibes in this case can also be oppressive, epic, creepy, or suffocating. This ranking will be judged on a mixture of how well the world succeeds at creating cohesive and persistent vibes, as well as how I personally feel about these vibes. There's not going to be some imperial or numerical metric that I am basing these on, because vibes are all about how they resonate with you on a personal level. Because of that, please remember that this list is just my personal opinion, and it may not reflect how I feel about these worlds on a level design or story significance level. Lastly, I want to mention that I will not be talking about every iteration of every world from every Kingdom Hearts game. For this video, I'm mainly talking about the big 5 Kingdom Hearts games, those being Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, and Kingdom Hearts 3, and we'll also be talking about 0.2 and kind of Chain of Memories as well. The reason for this is because 1, I don't want this video to be 3 hours long, 2, some of the worlds, especially in the DS games, are mostly similar to the worlds in the other games, so I don't think they offer significantly different vibes, or at least enough so to earn their own slots, with one exception from Days, but we'll get to that. Plus, I haven't played Days and Recoded in years, so I don't remember much of the specifics of the worlds. If you want to do this idea with Days and Recoded added, please feel free. And finally, 3. Some games just don't really fit this format, or I just haven't played some Kingdom Hearts games, like Melody of Memory for the former example, or VCast for the latter. Sorry, VCast fans. I also want to quickly go over the tiers of the tier list that I'll be using for this video. From top to bottom, we have Immaculate Vibes, We're Vibin', It's Chill, The Vibes Have Been Harshed, and No. So with all of that out of the way, let's get right into it. We're starting off with something that isn't necessarily a traditional world, but I'm still going to count it. The Dive to the Heart, or the Station of Awakening, or whatever you want to call it, serves as the tutorial stage for the 3 main numbered Kingdom Hearts titles. I'll be grouping all 3 together for the purpose of this video, as they're all pretty similar, but I will mainly be talking about the Kingdom Hearts 1 version for this entry of the list. I've always loved the Dive to the Heart. The visuals of the stained glass platforms, lit up like beacons in an endless void, in conjunction with the music, makes for a world that feels both comforting and also unsettling. Kingdom Hearts 1 is often praised for how it handles its more mysterious elements, and I think the Dive to the Heart perfectly exemplifies this. The fact that the game throws you in before you even get to meet the characters or get introduced to the world is an incredible choice that elevates these vibes. Things like the disembodied voice, needing to choose a path but give up one in return with no real knowledge on what exactly it all means, or even the way Darkseid shows up at the end from Sora's shadow. It all adds to that unsettling feeling. But the beautiful stained glass with the images of what are most likely familiar faces to the player cuts through that unsettling feeling to give some form of comfort. There's not a whole lot going on in terms of small details, but that doesn't make it bad. It's simple and clean, but that's all it really needs to be. Kingdom Hearts 2's rendition is also pretty great too, with replacing the princesses on the stained glass with Sora, which adds to the whole mystique of that intro segment of the game. Kingdom Hearts 3's is also pretty cool, especially because we get to see it in the new engine, but you're not really there for long. The Darkseid fight does take place in a different type of location, but we'll talk about that later. For now, this list starts off strong with the Dive to the Heart being a top tier world in terms of vibes. It has immaculate vibes. Now we move on to the other and more extensive tutorial area in the first Kingdom Hearts with Destiny Islands. and I don't think I need to say much about this one. This section of the game is iconic. The beach setting and the music give off a feeling of comfort and reprieve, but the small nature of the map helps to invoke the same feelings in the player as Sora, Rico, and Kairi feel. It gets you wanting to see more of the wider world. The activities present, like the sparring matches with Riku and the Final Fantasy characters, the obstacle course race, or even the little detail of the characters exploring the cave behind the waterfall, where they etch drawings into the wall, nail home that this world is supposed to represent childhood. I think the beach setting itself also exacerbates this in my eyes, as I would go to the beach with my family pretty much every summer when I was a kid, so this is childhood to me. And those feelings of comfort, adventure, and a desire to see the wider world that I associate with my own childhood getting torn apart on the night of the storm, with Sora getting figuratively and literally ripped away from his childhood, acts as a perfect juxtaposition to these vibes. Destiny Islands easily has immaculate vibes. Next up, we have the first full world of the game, and the one that acts as the hub world as well, with Traverse Town. Traverse Town is comfy and nostalgic in all the best ways. The eternal night of the world creates a canopy of stars that covers the town like a blanket, and the lights from the windows of the shops and from the street lamps give a warm glow to every district. Traverse Town reminds me of those warm summer nights when the sky is so clear that you could just spend hours laying in the grass and looking at the stars. The presence of NPCs and the additional details strewn about the place make it feel safe, despite the heartless inhabiting the second and third districts. This safety is further enhanced by Traverse Town acting as the hub world of this game, so the multiple visits act like returning to a familiar safe haven, which is also reflected in the lore, with the town's entire existence being to act as a safe haven for people who have lost their worlds. And don't get me started on the music. The Traverse Town field theme is one of the comfiest in all of gaming. Of course, Traverse Town has immaculate vibes. I don't think I would forgive myself if I ranked it any other way. Alright, so Kingdom Hearts 1 has started off strong with 3 top tiers right off the bat, but I think this next world is where it starts to drop a little bit. Wonderland is a weird world, which is obviously what the game is going for, as Wonderland is meant to be a pretty wacky place. So in that sense, I think the world succeeds at its vibe. The rabbit hole at the start of the world makes for a great entrance into a new wacky world, and the Bazaar Room is one of the coolest designed areas in any video game, with there being a ton of interactables that change the state of the room, as well as there being many different entrances to the room that take you to different parts of it, like the ceiling or the wall, which all act to enhance the, bizarre vibes of the world. If this world was just these 2 areas, I think it would rank higher in my mind. However, unfortunately for Wonderland, the rest of the world exists. Places like the Lotus Forest and the Tea Party Room are cool with their various interactables and multiple exits, much like the Bazaar Room, but the big thing that prevents this world from reaching any higher on this list is that everything in this world feels boxed in, and that is a feeling that I really do not like in games. Now, I get it. This is a video game and every world is technically boxed in, but usually games, including this one, trick your brain into thinking that there is more out there with a clever use of backgrounds and perspective. There might not be more out there, but you can imagine that you can go and see it if the invisible walls weren't in the way. Wonderland is not like this. Every single room in this world feels like an interior room. There are very clearly visible walls that box in every area, even the ones that I think are meant to be exterior rooms. The walls are just painted to look like there's something beyond it. It feels like the entire world is within a child's playroom, which is maybe the vibe Square was going for, but it makes me feel constrained and trapped, and I just don't like it. Also, the music on loop made me feel like I was going insane while getting lost in the Lotus Forest as a kid, so that did not help. The vibes for this one have been thoroughly harshed. Next up, we have Olympus Coliseum, which is a hard world to judge based on vibes, as there's not a lot to it. There's only really 3 rooms in the world, with only 2 of them being explorable, and even then, there is not a lot to see. Sure, the music is grand and triumphant, which really fits for an arena that makes heroes, and the visuals of the 2 giant statues at the entrance adds to that grand feeling. But that's really all I can talk about on that front. I think the vibes in this world do get enhanced by its connection to the source material in relation to the story of Kingdom Hearts. A core theme about Disney's Hercules is the misguided belief that someone becomes a hero just through earning glory from various victories in battle. The lesson at the end of the movie being that a true hero is made from someone wishing to save another with all of their heart, and with no regards for things like glory or fame. In that sense, Olympus Coliseum essentially being an arena world where Sora and the gang fight in tournaments is a perfect reflection of this theme, especially for where Sora is on his journey at this point in time. Even finishing the Hercules Cup and locking the keyhole, which effectively ends the story of the world, aside from some extra endgame content, sees Sora not being recognized as a true hero. But the strength of heart required to put yourself on the line to save another is a lesson that he eventually learns later in the game, or well, later if you beat the Hercules Cup, right when it becomes available. So I do think that the thematic connection adds to the vibes, as the grandeur of the Coliseum itself makes the games feel more important to Sora and the player than they actually are in context to Sora's character. But still, there's not really much to go off of. Olympus Coliseum is chill. There's not really much else for me to say about it. Maybe I'm stretching the rules of my own list here just because I always really liked Disney's Hercules, and because the world has the prestige of being in every main Kingdom Hearts game until Dream Drop, but I honestly can't hate the vibes, so we're putting it in the middle of the road. Now we move on to Deep Jungle, and before we begin, I'd like to offer my heartfelt condolences for the loss of this world that was so tragically taken from us by the plague that is copyright law. We lost you too soon. Deep Jungle is a world that I, in my younger years, like many other Kingdom Hearts fans, was not a big fan of. However, I have gained much more of an appreciation for it over the years. Deep Jungle itself is, well, a jungle. Most of the world is constrained and blocked off by various trees and sometimes rocks. Because of this, there's a more contained feeling about it, which might sound hypocritical based on how I just talked about Wonderland. However, I think it's different here, as in my eyes, the level design meshes much better with the vibes in this case. What I mean by this is that the only open locations are the treehouse and the cliffside area, the former of which only peers out to an endless sea of trees, and the latter only opens up during the boss fight of the world. Because of this, the world never really feels open for most of its runtime. I guess the Jungle Slider minigame also has some open areas, but you're on a track for that, so I don't think it fits. In this sense, Deep Jungle, through both its visuals and its level design, led to a vibe of being lost in a seemingly endless jungle. Things like the constant backtracking and the presence of Sabor hunting you throughout the runtime of the world add to the vibe of being in the jungle. Even the open area of the treehouse still lends to this feeling, because all you see is the green ocean that is the jungle canopy below. When the cliff area opens up to the waterfall section in the boss fight, it's like seeing the true beauty of this location that feels so confusing and dangerous when you first enter. The camp is also a great hub area through its small details that add up to a really cozy aesthetic, and its location being at the center of the world makes it so that you visit it quite often when you're backtracking through it. I also really like the music here, so yeah, we're vibing with Deep Jungle. Is its placement influenced by my love for the Tarzan movie, as well as its novelty as a one-off world that we may never see again? Maybe, but I've always really liked the vibe of this world. Next up, we have Agrabah, and right out of the gate, I do want to mention that Aladdin is one of my favorite Disney movies, and Genie is one of my favorite characters of all time. Because of that, it hurts me to say that I've never really felt strong feelings for Agrabah in this game. The world can be split into three main groups for its areas. There's the city itself, which is really just the main thoroughfare to the palace gates, with some back streets here and there. I get what it's going for with the whole busy market vibes, but I've never really connected with this place. The vibiest area in this group, in my opinion, is Aladdin's house with the iconic view of the palace. But that's all I can really say. I guess the verticality of this section of the world plays into Aladdin's ability to climb around and escape the guards and whatnot, but still I have no strong feelings on this one. The second group is the desert, which is pretty much just the area outside the city, the Cave of Wonders exterior, and the area where you fight Kurt Zisa. Nothing much to say here, it's a desert. The Cave of Wonders exterior is pretty cool, I guess, with the time of day changing to night, but that's all I can really offer in terms of praise. The third group is all of the areas within the Cave of Wonders itself, and this one probably has the strongest vibes. The red of the upper floors contrast perfectly with the darker areas of the floors below. This, in addition to the many traps and almost labyrinthian design, as well as the many treasures to be found, all add to the feeling that this is an ancient cave with treasures untold. It's all fairly imposing. With all of that said though, Agrabah is just chill. I have no strong feelings on this one way or the other. Now we move on to Monstro, which is one of the easier worlds for me to rank. Monstro is infamous for its confusing design, leading many players, including myself, to get lost for hours in its maze of connecting intestinal chambers. Monstro is a world that, from a gameplay standpoint, has improved in my eyes over the years. Once I learned that the correct path is just to enter the fleshy booty hole doors that glow green, the world is not nearly as much of a pain to me anymore. With all of that said though, this world is just gross. The squelchy sounds, the moving floors and walls of Monstro's digestive tract, it's all just nasty. You could say that the world does a good job of leaning into this gross vibe, but this is one that I have to put my foot down on and say that these are not the vibes that I want. A little known fact about me is that I have a fairly strong sense of smell. Because of this, how things smell greatly impacts my impression of that thing. This has got to be, hands down, the worst smelling world in Kingdom Hearts. You go from swimming around in stagnant gum water to walking around a whale's doo-doo tract. It's gotta stink. Now that I think about it though, I don't think Sora canonically bathed at all in the first Kingdom Hearts, or even in Chain of Memories. Now, I'm not as much of a lore fiend for these games as I was in the pre-gacha game days, so unless it's been revealed in Ultimania that the gummy ship had a shower, I think this man has been running around with the whale doo-doo stank for the entire game, and then marinated in that pod in Chain of Memories for a year. And he was like 14 to 15 in the first game, so I know he wasn't dropping by the first district to pick up deodorant. No wonder Hayner Pensinolet wanted him out of their usual spot. That man probably had a haze around him at that point. I honestly just feel bad for Goofy, who had to be next to him with a dog's sense of smell. Yeah, Monstro gets a big no from me. A Very Small Wish is one of the best field themes in this series, but even it can't make the vibes of this world hit for me. Let's just move on. Next up is another infamous KH1 world with Atlantica, and much like my feelings on Deep Jungle and Monstro, my feelings on this world have improved over the years as well. Mainly thanks to 2C Phoenix's amazing game breakdown video on it. Please go check out his channel, he makes great content. However, this video is not ranking worlds by how much my opinion on them has improved over the years. We're ranking by vibes, using our totally consistent and scientifically proven metrics, and, you know, sometimes you get 3 back-to-back worlds with top-tier vibes, and sometimes you get 2 stinkers in a row. Now, look, there are things I like about Atlantica's vibe. Areas like the Sunken Shipwreck and Ariel's Grotto are filled with small details and really add to the feeling of being in the ocean, and the whole 2 worlds thing. Other areas, like the ones outside of Triton's Palace and Ursula's Lair, use their backgrounds to masterfully alter perception and create the illusion of distance and scale, which I really love. Other than that, though, there's not a lot to talk about. It's a lot of undersea caves and canyons. I guess the Under the Sea field music is pretty cool, but I don't think it does enough heavy lifting to make up for the rest of the world. Also, another little known fact about me is that I have thalassophobia. The idea that anything could be lurking in the dark abyss of the ocean beyond the boundaries of the world gives me the heebie-jeebies, which I'm pretty sure is the scientific term. Atlantica is a no for me. We move on from 2 misses to one that I think really nails its vibes with Halloween Town. Everything from the general design of the world and its locales, to the field music, to the change in art style and the new looks for Sora, Donald, and Goofy, scream Halloween Town. Pun fully intended. Halloween Town has always been one of my favorite KH1 worlds, which is weird because while I like The Nightmare Before Christmas, I don't think it's nearly as good as the other movies that act as source material for the worlds of this game. And I'm also not the biggest Halloween fan, despite what my profile picture might have you believe. I don't know, man, I just love the general aesthetic of this world. The gothic architecture, the moon in the background, the grittier art style, it's all so good. The Frankenstein's monster of a building that is Oogie's Manor also enhances these vibes tremendously. We're vibing with Halloween Town. Neverland is a weird one, as the world itself, as many have pointed out, isn't Neverland at all. Most of the world is confined to Captain Hook's ship, the Jolly Roger, with the last area of the world being in the fantastical and entirely fictional land of England, in front of Elizabeth Tower. I'm trying to get ahead of the comments telling me that Big Ben is the name of the bell and not the tower. And if this world was just that last area, it would rank way higher in my eyes, as the mixture of lights of the London cityscape illuminating the night in conjunction with the sky makes for incredible vibes. However, most of the world is the Jolly Roger, so I do have to take some points off. I do think the world does a great job with its area design and transitioning to make the world feel much more internally consistent in its connectivity than possibly any other world in the game, or series even. But I can't really say much about this world one way or the other. I guess it does a good job of making you feel like you're on a pirate ship, but the vibes are just not that strong to me. Neverland is chill. Next up is Hollow Bastion, and yeah, I won't waste your time at this one. It's top tier. The imposing vibes of the world as the villain's fortress are enhanced with the visual design and music. The visuals of the steam pipes breaking through a once grand castle gives this feeling of the world as one that has fallen to the hands of darkness. Every aspect of the world leans into this vibe. The color of the sky, reminiscent of dusk, in conjunction with the empty expanse of the area surrounding the castle, gives the feeling that Hollow Bastion is the last piece of a dying world that's just barely holding on. The high-tech elevators in the entire library area also act as remnants of the research that the castle was known for before it fell. It's all so good. Immaculate vibes, easily. 100 Acre Wood is a weird one. On one hand, I love the general premise of the world, but on the other, the minigames sometimes piss me off. In terms of the vibes, I think 100 Acre Wood really nails what it's going for. The whole world being a storybook that Sora jumps into creates a feeling of untouchable nostalgia. It feels like the piece of childhood that will always remain with Sora and by extension the player. The fact that there are no battles and that you're just playing games with the residents greatly enhances this feeling in my eyes. What I think really impacts the vibes is the story of the world. To me, it's always felt like Sora connected with the residents of 100 Acre Wood more so than he did with any other Disney world, except maybe Disney Castle. Because of that, and from things like the cover of the book changing to reflect Sora's influence on the world, this world just feels incredibly cozy to me. We're vibing with 100 Acre Wood. Now we reach the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 with the end of the world. And yeah, the vibes for this one are incredible. End of the World is an amalgamation of worlds and acts as the final dungeon of the game. I've heard some people call it a junkyard of worlds, and I couldn't agree more. The world is both surreal and imposing. The pieces of the world being made from the pieces of other worlds, the almost dead-looking white of the ground, and the strange phenomena present within really nail this vibe home. I also love how the field theme uses the leitmotif of the music from the Dive to the Heart, bringing everything full circle, but by also giving a different vibe, where Dive to the Heart felt mysterious but also scary and comforting at the same time. End of the World feels dead, with the music almost acting as a requiem for all the world snuffed out by the Heartless. And areas like the Final Rest and the Broken Destiny Islands really add to the feeling of finality. So yeah, End of the World has immaculate vibes. Before we move on to Kingdom Hearts 2, we'll take a quick pit stop at its asset reusing trading card game loving older brother, Chain of Memories. Here, we're only going to talk about Castle Oblivion, both because it's the only actual world in the game, and also because I don't want to just rehash my thoughts on the other worlds for each floor. I already have too many worlds to rank in this video. I've always loved the vibe of Castle Oblivion. The pure white rooms create a feeling of intrigue and also helplessness as well. Intrigue in that the castle does feel unlike any other world we've seen before, but helplessness in the sense that the uniformity of the floors makes you question if you're even making progress. An idea that is further enhanced with the main feature of the castle, that being that the further you go in, the more memories you lose, or at least that's the case with Sora, Donald, and Goofy. With that in mind, I can see the look of this world driving a person crazy. I also really love the vibe of the final floor, with it juxtaposing the serene and calming field theme with this imposing organ and choir-based battle theme. It's great. The other themed floors themselves also have vibes of varying levels. Ones like Traverse Town, Twilight Town, Hollow Bastion, and Destiny Islands have some top-tier vibes. the last of which features my favorite rendition of the Destiny Islands field theme. But others like Neverland and Atlantica with their endless voids really fill me with a sense of dread in a way that I don't think is intentional. So yeah, putting everything together, Castle Oblivion still has immaculate vibes. Moving right along to Kingdom Hearts 2 and starting with Twilight Town. Do I even need to say anything for this one? Twilight Town has not only some of the best vibes in the series, but also in all of gaming in my opinion. The warm colors of the buildings mixed with the beautiful light of the setting sun is just peak. Both field themes also play into the feeling of passing the hours away on those late summer days. If Destiny Islands represents childhood and it being torn away, Twilight Town represents the last embers of childhood fizzling out. That might sound sad, and it is to a certain extent, but I think it's part of the process of growing up, and it's something I look back on fondly. I also love how each area of Twilight Town feels lived in. There's very few areas where I think, oh, this is like this because it's a video game. It feels like a real town. I've also said it before, but I love the second half of the town. There's just something about it that fills me with joy. In the midst of all the crazy stuff going down in the main story, Twilight Town lacking a real boss battle after the intro segment makes it act like a perfect sanctuary among the craziness of the rest of the game. Oh, and Yen Sid's tower is cool too, I guess. Twilight Town has immaculate vibes. If Hollow Bastion KH1 felt like the last remnant of a dying world, Hollow Bastion KH2 is that world slowly piecing itself back together. Gone are the imposing and empty vibes of the villain's fortress, and replacing it are the sights and sounds of a people rebuilding their home. The world feels both familiar and unfamiliar. The sky has the same color scheme, and the steam pipes running throughout the world are still present. However, there's now a town outside of the castle, and locales outside of the city limits, not just an endless expanse of water and sky. I also love how the interior of the castle is still run down, as the people have focused their efforts on rebuilding key infrastructure rather than the castle itself. I think we can go back and forth over which rendition of this world is superior, but I've never put much stock in that argument. Both iterations of this world act like two halves of a whole in my eyes. So yeah, Hollow Bastion still has immaculate vibes. Oh, I also wanted to mention how much I love that scene of Aerith telling Soradon and Goofy about the original name of the world as the logo for Radiant Garden shows up. That scene is just peak. Next up is the Land of Dragons, and I don't really have much to say for this one. I like the music and the source material, but outside of the palace interior and the first three areas, nothing really stands out to me visually. I do like how you can see the palace from most areas of the map, and how the town on the mountain changes to match events from the movie. But yeah, this one doesn't have many interesting things going for it. It's chill. Now we have Beast Castle, and I'll just say right out of the gate that I love the vibes for this world. The castle aesthetic, the lighting, the incredible field theme, it's all so good. This world has always been one that I love getting the chance to walk around in. There's just something about it that I love to my core. I also haven't been mentioning the text boxes as much, but I love the purple text box used for this world. I don't know what to tell you, this one's just got immaculate vibes to me. Next up we have KH2's iteration of Olympus Coliseum, and this one is a lot more expansive than its KH1 counterpart. The previous areas of the world are still present, kind of, but this version mostly focuses on the underworld instead, and yeah, the vibes are great here. Most of the areas are the same dark rocky caves and such, but the fog that seems to be present in every area and the floating orbs of light add a bit of personality to the locales. It feels like the land of the dead. I also love the area before Hades' castle with the green of the river Styx giving a much different feel to the area. Plus, I also really like both the field and battle themes here. We're vibing with KH2 Olympus Coliseum. Now we get to a world that I think many Kingdom Hearts fans were itching to explore ever since it featured briefly in the first game, that being Disney Castle. There's not a lot for me to say on this one though. I love the design of the world with some of its more wacky elements like the hands in the gummy ship hangar, the hedge castle leading to the hangar, the curved towers of the castle, and the real normal-sized door inside the fake giant door to the throne room. It all adds to that Disney feel. I also like how the world is mostly comprised of areas we've already seen in KH1. Because of that, though, there's not really much else for me to talk about. The world mainly serves as an introduction for the next world, but it's still really good. I also love the royal sounding version of the Mickey Mouse March. We're vibing with Disney Castle. Moving on from Disney Castle to a world from before its founding with Timeless River. I don't think I need to explain this one. It's top tier vibes. Everything about this world is meant to invoke the feeling of playing in an old black and white Disney cartoon, from the monochrome color scheme to the sound filter over everything to the look of Sora, Donald, and Goofy. It's all so good. All of the areas, with the exception of Cornerstone Hill, also pay homage to some classic Disney cartoons. The only thing I can take points off for is that the battle theme kicked my ass on Proud Difficulty and Melody of Memory. Still though, Timeless River has immaculate vibes. We're getting a bit saltier, as next up we have Port Royal, which is the Pirates of the Caribbean world. And as the first world in Kingdom Hearts to use a live-action property as a basis, the look of this one is a bit rough. It falls a bit into the Uncanny Valley territory for me, where I recognize the characters and the locations, but they also seem unfamiliar at the same time. Because of that, I wouldn't say the vibes of this world have ever stood out to me. Sure, I like the music, and I do like some of the areas in terms of level design, but outside the town of Port Royal itself, I never really got a pirate's feel from this world. The whole needing to use the ship to select different areas was a cool concept in theory, but all it really does is put you into a fight as you travel, so I don't think it does enough to help the vibe for me. The vibes have been harsh for Port Royal. Moving from above the waves to below them with KH2's rendition of Atlantica, and there's really not much to say about this one. The world is really only two quote-unquote explorable locations, with most of the world being relegated to the song minigame. Even those two locations don't really have much going on for them. Triton's Palace is kind of the same as in Kingdom Hearts 1, and the entrance area is similar to the entrance of Kingdom Hearts 1 Atlantica. I guess this version does have a lot better use of color, and the music is a bit more calming, but yeah, this one doesn't do enough to put it above KH1 Atlantica for me. KH2 Atlantica gets a no. Next up we have Agrabah, which is a weird one for me, as I find that I've always had a hard time deciding whether or not I like this one or the KH1 version more. It's split into the same three area types as its KH1 counterpart, and that's where my indecisiveness comes from in this case. The Cave of Wonders in this version is definitely worse than in KH1 in my opinion, trading out the labyrinthian design and traps with a more linear path to the goal and a quasi-minigame in the middle. The desert areas are a big improvement though, as the KH2 version features the Desert Ruins section, which you traverse by flying on carpet, which in the case of this video I do think helps with the vibes quite a bit. As for the city areas, I'm a bit more mixed on. KH2's version of the world trades out the verticality of the KH1 iteration with a larger, more winding design. I feel like the KH2 variant always felt more lived in to me, so in that sense I think it helps the vibes a lot more than in KH1. Still though, I think the fact that I can't really say its league's better than its previous iteration means that it doesn't do enough for me to place it in a separate tier. KH2 Agrabah is also chill. Here we have another returning world from KH1 with Halloween Town. This one is a bit difficult for me, as I do think this version of the world takes a bit away from the vibes of the KH1 iteration. Sure, it still has the music, aesthetic, and changes in costumes for Sora, Donald, and Goofy, but everything just feels smaller and more zoomed out in this game's version of the world. So it does significantly detract from the slightly imposing vibes of the original. The trade-off is that the KH2 version also adds Christmas Town with its own field and battle themes, as well as new Christmas-themed looks for Sora, Donald, and Goofy, at least in the final mix version of the game. I do love the Christmas vibes present here, from the lights to the snow to the music. However, I do think there aren't really enough areas in the world to fully appreciate this new aesthetic, as half of the world's interior areas are within Santa's workshop. The living room portion of those areas is peak vibes, but I never really got anything from the workshop proper. For that reason, I can't really say that the vibes really hit for me on this one. KH2 Halloween Town is chill. Next up we have the Pride Lands, and this one hurts. The Lion King is my favorite Disney movie of all time, so the world being in this state sucks. Everything is just so brown and boring. And look, I get it. Sora enters into the world after Scar has taken over, so the savannah is on its last legs. and not enough time has passed before the revisit for the Circle of Life to recover. It's a thematic and narrative device, but it's just so boring to look at. Lion Sora is also really fun to run around with, so this color palette hurts me even more as it provides an almost negative incentive to actually stay in the areas for longer than necessary. The only areas that really stand out to me are the Oasis and the path to it, which not only have some color but also a real feeling of openness to them. It just really sucks because when I think of The Lion King, I think of the use of colors in sequences like the Circle of Life intro, which does an incredible job of showing the beauty of nature. Instead, it's like we got the brown filter from the early PS3 days. The vibes have been harshed for the Pride Lands, and it is teetering close to a no, but I do have to give props to the music and how much fun it is to run around sliding all over the place as Lion Sora. Plus, my Lion King bias won't let me put it any lower. But it is on thin ice, or I guess brown, colorless savanna dirt in this case. Moving away from the warm beauty of nature to the cold pixels of the datascape with space paranoids. Now, I'm actually a pretty big fan of the original Tron movie. I don't think it's a masterpiece or anything, but I do love the aesthetic that older sci-fi films and shows have in regards to how they saw the future at the time. Things like the Jetsons or Tomorrowland aesthetic of the 50s and 60s, or in this case, the aesthetic of Tron or something like The Last Starfighter in the 80s. Because of that, I've always really loved the look of this world in KH2. Sure, it has a very blocky look, and it doesn't have a large variety of colors, but I think it works really well to fit in with that original Tron look. I can totally imagine that this is the datascape of computers in the 80s. The world itself isn't very large, but the areas are open enough that I can imagine more out there, which, as other entries on the list have shown, I tend to appreciate. The new looks for Sora and Goofy are also really good, and I love how the lights of Sora's outfit change to reflect which drive form he's using. The field music also perfectly encapsulates the idea that this is a digital world, in my opinion. We're vibing with space paranoids. But I will mention that I think we were a little too harsh on the MCP, because while he was doing some evil villain stuff, he at least wasn't stealing art and ruining every facet of our lives like modern-day AI. I don't have much to say about KH2 100 Acre Wood. I think it's pretty comparable with KH1's version in terms of vibes. It still has that storybook aesthetic, and its presence as a minigame world has it still retaining that comfy feel. The cover also changes to not only reflect Sora's growth, but his stronger relationship with Pooh and the gang. I also find that I tend to like this version a bit more than KH1's, whether that be because I just like the minigames more, or because of that scene at the end of the world in this game. Still though, in terms of vibes, I think 100 Acre Wood stays strong. We're still vibing with 100 Acre Wood. Finally, we reach the last world in Kingdom Hearts 2, and we finish off strong with the world that never was. Of course this one has top tier vibes. I mean, have you seen it? The barren cityscape lying beneath the hollow light of Organization 13's Kingdom Hearts, the massive castle that acts as the final stronghold of the organization, the music, it's so good. I really cannot think of any negatives for this one. Each area perfectly feeds into the vibes. The back alley entrance of the world that silhouettes the castle that never was in front of Kingdom Hearts, the ever-iconic memory skyscraper, the proof of existence that acts like a graveyard for the members of Organization 13, the final climb up to the roof where Xemnas awaits, and it all culminates in what is still the best final boss fight in the series, in my opinion. It's imposing but also empty, reflecting how the nobodies are portrayed in this game. It's the facade of a city with a massive castle floating over a void, but no life can be found from anywhere in this world. It's hollow, barren, and devoid of any life, but it seems like it's so desperately trying to be an actual place. I love it. The world that never was has immaculate vibes. No notes. Before we move on to Birth by Sleep, we need to make a very brief stop in 358 over 2 days to talk about Neverland. Now, I mostly left this game off the list as most of the worlds are pretty similar to their counterparts in other games, and also because I haven't played it in like a decade. The only ones with significant enough difference in my mind are The World That Never Was and Neverland. the former of which just adds the lounge area for the organization members, which I do like, but doesn't offer any significant changes to anything I said in the previous entry. The latter, though, is an entirely different world to its KH1 version. You actually go to Neverland this time. There isn't a lot to see from what I remember. It's mainly just a bunch of rock formations, but I do really love the field theme, so that's bonus points in my eyes. Neverland in days is chill. So now we move on to Birth by Sleep, which is actually the first Kingdom Hearts game that I beat. Kingdom Hearts 1 was the first that I played, but I never actually managed to beat the game before my PlayStation 2 broke, and I completely forgot about the series until I was in high school. Because of that, I have a soft spot for this game, so these entries are going to be really biased. But I mean, hey, this video is ranking the worlds in Kingdom Hearts by vibes, so if you weren't expecting this list to be oops, all bias, I don't know what to tell you. The first world to talk about in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep is the Land of Departure, and despite what I just said, yeah, this is one of my least favorite of the starting worlds in the series. I don't dislike it, but the world is really small. There are only 3 explorable areas, and they're all pretty small with not much to see. The summit area and the front entrance are cool, but I don't think the world does a good job of really nailing that vibe of a grand legacy of Keyblade wielders that I think it was going for outside of the music, which is very good. It's a shame because this world's existence as not only a world that presumably has a long history of Keyblade wielders, but also as the original form of Castle Oblivion, makes for a really cool premise, but the vibes were just not there for me. You can't even explore this world for most of Ven's story. I love the design of the world and the music as well, but the lack of any real explorable areas knocks it down from any of the top tiers. Still though, I can't rank it in any of the bottom tiers because I do like the design and the music, as I said. Land of Departure is chill. Next up, we have the Enchanted Dominion, and I'll just be honest for this one, this world has one of my favorite vibes in the series. Things like the square trees and the design for both castles really capture the style of Sleeping Beauty in a way that I don't think many other worlds do for me. The world also uses some great perspective tricks on the bridge and the mountain to make their respective castles and the areas leading to them feel much larger. I don't know, I always just really love the look of this world. It also has one of the best field themes in the series. It perfectly sets the mood of a world that is empty and asleep, and I think the typical emptiness of KH worlds pre-KH3 in terms of lacking NPCs enhances this mood. Things just feel peaceful but a bit unsettling, which I think is due in part to how lonely the world feels. I love it. Enchanted Dominion has immaculate vibes. Now we move on to the second of the princess worlds that we didn't get to see in Kingdom Hearts 1 with the Castle of Dreams. And yeah, I think the vibes are great here too. I don't think this world reaches Enchanted Dominion level, but I do really like what it's going for. This world seems more whimsical and hopeful than the previous entry, and I think the field theme being Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo helps with that feeling. The world itself also has 2 different versions depending on who you're playing as, which both offer different yet similar vibes. Terra and Aqua have access to the world proper, which includes the castle, while Ven is shrunk down to the size of a mouse and explores the inside of the chateau. Both still have that hopeful feeling of wanting to make dreams come true, but I do think the vibes for both parts are a bit different. The version of the world that Terra and Aqua visit feels grander, with the presence of the castle as well as how it seems to illuminate the entire world, which really emphasizes that there is some big ball going on. Ven's side of things feels a bit more humble in comparison, for lack of a better word, and I think it works incredibly well with the whole premise of needing to help Cinderella make her dress. Plus, I always love levels where your character is shrunk down and has to interact with an area that seems gigantic. Both vibes are honestly great. We're vibing with Castle of Dreams. Next, we move on to the last in this trio of worlds with the Dwarf Woodlands. And I honestly don't have much to say about this one. Dwarf Woodlands always stuck out to me as my least favorite of the 3, but I would not say that it's because of a lack in quality here, more so because I just like the other 2 more. The same is true for the vibes. The world itself has a lot of iconic locations from the movie, like the mine, the cottage, the forest, and the castle, and I think the world does an amazing job of bringing them to life, but I never really felt like these locations were top tier. I do love the level design for the dungeon areas, and I think the flower area is just beautiful, but I don't get as strong vibes from this one as the other two. Still though, we're vibing with Dwarf Woodlands. I honestly don't know what to say about this one. Mirage Arena is cool from a gameplay standpoint, and I do like the sci-fi space aesthetic, but this world doesn't really have anything going for it. It's 2 rooms, of which one is just a warp to the other. You might argue that that's the same for KH1 Olympus Coliseum, but I think that world both visually and aesthetically was much more interesting. There really isn't much to see with this world. Mirage Arena is just a no. Going from bottom tier vibes to top tier vibes with Radiant Garden, and do I even need to explain myself for this one? This is the world in its prime, before its destruction and eventual rebuilding. Gone are the destroyed facades and scaffolding. This world has the town itself with multiple gardens and fountains. This world is beautiful and the field music reflects that. This is Radiant Garden when it was alive. I don't think from a vibes or level design perspective that this world beats out its KH1 or KH2 variants, but I do think it offers a different enough but equally strong vibe that helps to tell the story of this world. Radiant Garden has immaculate vibes. Alright, so I've got to be honest. Next up we have Disney Town, and this has always been one of, if not my least favorite world in the game. And a big part of that is due to the vibes. This is the town itself surrounding Disney Castle, and it's got a fairly different vibe from the castle itself. The town uses a lot of different colors, but it never feels cohesive to me. I know that it's meant to be a reference to the Toontown areas of Disneyland and formerly of Disney World's Magic Kingdom, but I just don't like the look of this place. The buildings are so close together that it makes me feel boxed in and claustrophobic as I'm walking through the streets. And this particular rendition of the Mickey Mouse March makes me feel like I'm going insane. I'm also not a fan of the minigames. Sure, the underground area is cool from a level design perspective, but I don't think it helps with the vibes, per se. Especially because it just leads to me getting stuck in the giant pinball machine in Pete's Rec Room for 3 hours. Also, kinda off topic, but have you ever thought about how weird it is that you need lifetime passes to get to Disney Town? The presence of the passes themselves means that either there is some form of tourism economy from people of other worlds, thus breaking the world order in favor of that precious money with a U, or that there is some sort of class system where the people who live outside of the castle town itself need to pay for access to the more affluent parts of the world, which, again, sounds like it's all done for that green, or I guess weird blocky yellow balls in this case. I wouldn't be surprised if this world looks like the gray terminal of the Goa Kingdom from One Piece outside of those gates. Maybe Mickey should stop increasing the ice cream and fruit budget and funnel more of that money with a U into some social services. So yeah, Disney Town is a no for its vibes and for the implications of the Toon economy. We don't support mouse tyranny over here. Stay class conscious, folks. Next up, we have Birth by Sleep's rendition of Olympus Coliseum, which is pretty much the exact same as the KH1 version, except this time we got everyone's favorite Town Near Thebes area, which is just a square in the middle of some buildings. I guess I do appreciate the building out of the surface world of Olympus Coliseum, but yeah, this one doesn't do much more than its KH1 variant. Birth by Sleep Olympus Coliseum is chill. Now we enter into the final frontier with Deep Space, and yeah, this world is pretty cool. I do like space-themed stuff, and the world has a lot of interesting mechanics with gravity, but the vibes have never really hit for me with this one, especially because it's relegated to being inside of a spaceship. Visually, the world isn't really all that interesting to me outside of a few areas where you can see the outside of the ship. Even then, though, I don't think the world has any particularly strong vibes. Where I definitely have to take points off, though, is that this is not what I think of when I think of a Lilo and Stitch world. So the idea of a world that could have had some great vibes just being kind of meh disappoints me greatly. The vibes have been harshed with Deep Space. Next up, we have Birth by Sleep's version of Neverland, and I'll be honest, this is the best the world has ever been in terms of vibes. It helps incredibly that we were in Neverland proper this time, but also that it isn't just a bunch of rock formations and some water. There's a lot of really interesting and beautiful locations from both a level design and vibe standpoint. Places like the waterfall, the lagoon area, with the Jolly Roger firing at you as you try to explore the camp area and Skull Rock. This world feels like the Neverland from Peter Pan. The field theme also really helps with it, adding a feeling of adventure and whimsy to the whole deal. We're vibing with BBS Neverland. Next up, we have the Mysterious Tower, which is essentially Yen Sid's tower from Kingdom Hearts 2, except its own world this time and not attached to Twilight Town. It's pretty cool, I guess. I always liked the feel of this place with the skybox and the green hills below, but I do have to take some points off for the world missing the whole middle sections of the tower for some reason. Mysterious Tower is chill. Now we reach the world that acts as the climax of the game with the Keyblade Graveyard. Much like the other final worlds, I do think this one has some really strong vibes, just not as strong as End of the World or The World That Never Was. The world itself is pretty short, but what it does offer gives an incredible vibe. The barren lands devoid of life mixed with the various craters, and of course the countless Keyblades strewn about like graves to their fallen wielders, all work together to make for a feeling of emptiness and foreboding. This world feels final, and the music does a great job of enhancing this feeling. Keyblade Graveyard has immaculate vibes. Finishing off Birth by Sleep with the Dark World, and yeah, this one is pretty cool, I guess. This world is an unfortunate one where I think it has been made worse in retrospect now that we've seen just what the Realm of Darkness can look like. At the time, this world had a real sense of mystery to it. This was the first time we've been able to explore the Realm of Darkness after all. We had only really seen the area beyond the Door to Darkness and the beach beforehand. Visually, the world isn't super interesting. It's very monochrome, and a dark void envelops everything, which does fit for the Realm of Darkness. I do think that these visuals in conjunction with the music do make for a real sense of despair and hopelessness, which still remains even after 0.2, but I just don't think this version of the world does enough for me to put it into the higher tiers. BBS Dark World is chill. Now we move on to Dream Drop Distance, and I'll be honest, this was really what prompted me to make this video. I love DDD probably more than most Kingdom Hearts fans, and one of my favorite aspects of the game is how vibey its worlds feel for the most part. So we're going to start strong with Traverse Town. And I mean, come on, of course it has top tier vibes. It's Traverse Town. While I do think this version of the world lacks the coziness of the original, it makes up for it with adding entirely new areas, which are all really great. The back streets, Post Office, Fountain Plaza, and 4th and 5th districts all add this dreamlike quality that a lot of DDD worlds have, fittingly enough. Plus, the field theme goes for a more ethereal, dreamlike quality, which I really love. Dream Drop Traverse Town has immaculate vibes. This one might make some people mad, but next we have La Cité des Cloches, and it also has top tier vibes to me. Most of the areas feel really open, especially the main city area and the interior and exterior areas of Notre Dame. You can also flow motion up from the square to the roof of Notre Dame, which is pretty cool. The catacombs, bridge, and outskirts also add to this feeling of openness and grandeur that I think seeps throughout the world. Sure, outside of Notre Dame itself, the world doesn't have incredibly iconic landmarks, but I always felt like there was this oppressive yet freeing feeling to the world, as if you can go anywhere, but the eyes of Notre Dame itself are always watching you. Which reminds me of that one part in the opening song of the movie where Frollo sees all the carvings of the cathedral staring at him. I think a lot of this vibe is carried by the music, honestly. Both the field and battle theme are incredible, but the field theme itself is one of the best in the series in my opinion. The use of strings, horns, and bells really bring this feeling of constantly being watched by something to the forefront. I also love the use of lighting and shadows in the interior of Notre Dame. I'm a sucker for big cathedral areas in games, so this one is always one that I will remember. It is just a little weird to think about a Kingdom Hearts religion, though. La Cité des Cloches has immaculate vibes. Going from two top-tier worlds to a real stinker with the grid. Now, I don't like the grid from a level design standpoint, but I thought maybe my opinion for the vibes would be different. After thinking on it though, nah, not really. It's just kind of lame. I do like the use of blue lights, and the city area is pretty cool, but the world is just kind of bland to me. I also find myself getting easily lost in it, which I guess could be intentional with Sora and Riku being on the run from Clue's forces, but it just makes for an uninteresting world both visually and musically, in my opinion. That one optional section that leads to the upper level of the docks that you can use the reality shift on the turrets to break the glass and create a shortcut to the lower level is kind of cool though. Maybe it is just my bias showing because I was not a big fan of Tron Legacy, but I can't really think of many good parts of this world if I'm being honest. The grid is a no for me. Next we have Prankster's Paradise, which is an interesting one as Sora and Riku explore vastly different parts of the world. Sora explores the fair while Riku is trapped inside Monstro. The monster sections are pretty much the same, just more linear and with some environmental puzzles, so my thoughts on that aspect of the world aren't that different from its appearance in Kingdom Hearts 1. Sora's side of things is where things get much more interesting. The fair itself and the accompanying circus are both really interesting areas that add this festive feel, creepy clown face aside. He also gets this cave area and 2 underwater sections, which you already know my feelings on the latter. If the world was mostly just the fair, I think I would rank it higher, but half of it being Monstro and the presence of 2 underwater areas bring it down for me. Still though, I do really like the first 2 areas of this world, especially on Sora's side, with all of the interactable rides and the music which act to bring the level design and vibes together. The vibes of Prankster's Paradise have been harshed though. Now we reach another world that I think I like way more than most people, with the country of the Musketeers. Now, I really love the movie this world is based on, but my love for the world itself doesn't really have much to do with that. I just really love the look of this world. The world itself is split into a few areas, and I love how each area takes place at different times of the day. The training yard is during the day, the tower is at sunset, and Mont Saint-Michel and the opera are both at night. Because of this, the world has a great sense of time passing, which I really like. I also just love the look of the tower, Mont Saint-Michel, and the opera. The sunset setting of the first will always hit for me, and the use of lighting in conjunction with the night setting for the latter 2 is something that I really love. Riku's portions of the world are confined to the opera itself.
That little ditty's starting to grow on me.
And he gets access to the backstage areas, which I think are really well done, and give a great sense of seeing behind the scenes. So yeah, we're vibing with the country of the Musketeers. Next up we have Symphony of Sorcery, and of course this is a top tier one. Everything about this world feels like it's paying homage to Fantasia. The music of the world being iconic classical pieces, the sound effects being musical instruments, and the visual design of each area all combine together to form some incredible vibes. I really don't have more to say for this one. It's just great, from its musical references to its gorgeous visuals, taking Sora and Riku to different and interesting locales. Symphony of Sorcery has immaculate vibes. Finishing off Dream Drop Distance with its iteration of The World That Never Was, and yeah, this version is also incredible. The world is split into 2, with Sora exploring the city portion and Riku going throughout the castle. Both do an incredible job with not only bringing back the imposing and empty vibes of the original rendition of the world, but also bringing some Dream Drop specific vibes as well. There's this festive feeling to a lot of DDD worlds up to this point. Traverse Town has the balloons and decorations in the 4th district, La Cité des Cloches has the festival. It's a bit more sinister than the others, but the grid has the games, Prankster's Paradise has the carnival, the Country of the Musketeers has the opera, and Symphony of Sorcery feels like everything is being backed by an orchestra. All of that stops for The World That Never Was. Things get much more intense upon entering the world, and with how the buildings move about all unnaturally, it's like you've been ripped from a dream straight into a nightmare with very little control over how things progress. It's all so good. Dream Drop Distance's The World That Never Was definitely has immaculate vibes. Before we move on to 0.2, I quickly want to mention two of the worlds that were original to Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key / Union Cross. The first of which was also in the original key, but I never played that. And I'm only mentioning these two because, I'll be honest, I just rank most of them in the lowest tier as I'm not a big fan of the presentation style of the gacha games. And I also don't want this video to be 3 hours long. I'm also not going to talk about Dark Road because I only ever played a total of 5 minutes of that game. Anyway, we're starting with Daybreak Town. Daybreak Town is honestly the most interesting world in the Key games. It has a ton of lore, especially in its connections to Scala at Kylum, and honestly, I really like the world. It's pretty much an inverse of Twilight Town, swapping out the warmer colors with cooler ones for buildings and such. The world is also set in an eternal dawn in contrast to Twilight Town's eternal dusk. Now, I've always been more of a sunset fan than a sunrise fan, but both are still my favorite times of day, so Daybreak Town easily gets bonus points from me. Both towns also have their own clock towers that act as the centerpiece of their worlds. The music in Daybreak Town also does a great job of evoking that feeling of the sun rising in the early times of the day. With all that said, you'd think I'd rank this world pretty highly, but what really brings it down for me is the presentation. I've just never been the biggest fan of the look of the Key games and Dark Road. If we could see the world in 3D outside of the small parts we saw in back cover and could explore it, I think it would have some top tier vibes. Still though, I can't rank it in any of the lower tiers either. For now, Daybreak Town is chill. Next up we have Game Central Station from Union Cross, and this will be a quick one. This is actually the point where I stopped playing Union Cross. I had been playing since it released as Unchained Key way back when, and I played it a lot on my time off in college, despite my inherent distaste for anything gacha. I actually played so much that my ranking was really high for my level. I think playing without ever spending a dime on the game helped in that regard. That was until I got to Game Central Station, tried to fight the Wreck-It Ralph boss fight, noticed that my build that I spent a bunch of time refining was only doing 1 damage to the boss, realized that the game was trying to get me to spend money, and then I never played the game again. So I never really got to explore this world, and I honestly can't explore it now as you can no longer play Union Cross. So for this video, we're making an entirely new tier called, I don't know, you can't even play this shit anymore. Union Cross fans can tell me how the vibes were for this one when you could play it. Should I have just left this one off the list? Maybe. But I'm also still a little mad that Square decided to put incredibly important plot reveals and an actually good story behind games that were designed to eventually be unplayable. I am sorry, Key Games, you deserved so much better. Now we move on to 0.2, which technically only has one world. However, for the purpose of this video, I will be ranking the 4 parts of the world separately. We'll start with the Castle Town, and yeah, the vibes are really great. This is the Castle of Dreams after falling into darkness, and there is a real sense of unease that comes with seeing the glowing castle standing alone in a dark void. The town itself, which was absent from BBS, is also a great location to explore. The soft lighting of the street lamps gives this eerie feeling to the world, like you're walking alone on a starless night. The town is all warped too, which does a great job of showing how weird the Realm of Darkness really is. So yeah, the area itself might be short, but it does a great job of introducing the weirdness of the Realm of Darkness, while also creating this lonely feeling that permeates throughout the other areas of the game. It might not be elaborate, but its simple and clean Ray of Hope mix, that one doesn't work as well. We're vibing with Castle Town. Next up, we have the World Within, which is the Dwarf Woodlands after having fallen into darkness. This area is for sure the most interesting in the game to me. Instead of it being a section of the world like Castletown, the World Within starts in the Mirror Chamber with a bunch of magic mirrors lying around. The mirrors themselves take you to different parts of the area with their own trippy effects, like the never-ending hallway or the pillar maze. This really nails home the feeling of being lost in this crazy world, which I think is further enhanced by the boss of the area being a version of Aqua representing her regrets and self-loathing. In that sense, the mirrors reflect what Aqua is feeling. It's a perfect example of level design, visuals, and game design working to enhance the vibes. With that said, I do think that this area isn't visually memorable to me outside of the Pillar Maze area. Still though, it is my favorite of the 0.2 areas in terms of vibes or otherwise. We're vibing with the world within. Next up we have the Forest of Thorns, which is the enchanted dominion after having fallen into darkness. And yeah, this is my least favorite area in the game. It's just a forest. There isn't a whole lot of interesting things going on visually until the end of the area where all the dark sides are making the big ball of doom. The red sky at that point is really cool, but I think the rest of the area doesn't really stand out to me. The less linear structure of the forest and the endless trees make for a confined feeling that I think does a great job of reflecting how trapped Aqua feels. However, taking the good with the meh on this one, the Forest of Thorns is just chill. I don't have much more to say about it. Finishing up 0.2 with the Depths of Darkness. As the final area of the game, you'd expect it to be where the game throws everything at you, but this section of the game is actually a lot more linear than the others. I do think this was intentional though, as it helps with the vibe. Unlike the other areas in the game, this one sees Aqua accompanied by Mickey, and he gives Aqua a goal to follow. She is no longer just wandering around in the darkness, she has a place she wishes to reach. In that sense, the linearity helps to contrast with the feeling of being lost in the other areas. This area is also where we see the iconic glowing rock formations from the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 and the beach in Kingdom Hearts 2. I also always loved the lighting for the end of the area. The light shining through the cave opening onto the sand not only looks beautiful, but it also acts as a figurative and literal light at the end of the tunnel for Aqua. And there's something to be said about the narrative symbolism of that light leading to the Destiny Islands. So yeah, the area might not have as much going on as the first two in the game, but I still love it. We're vibing with the Depths of Darkness. Now we reach the final stretch of the video with the worlds from Kingdom Hearts 3, and we're starting strong with Olympus. This version of Olympus is split into three large areas. We have capital T Thebes itself this time, not just the town near it, Mount Olympus, which includes the base and the ascent up to the peak, and the Realm of the Gods at the top of the mountain. All three of these areas nail those Hercules vibes. The locations look like they're taken straight from the movie, with it really being seen in the golden halls of the Realm of the Gods, swirly clouds and all. The music is also great, with there being a pretty funny gag of Sora asking where the fanfare is from the original Olympus Coliseum theme, only to hear it when they reach the Realm of the Gods. I also think the whole section of Thebes in the story involving you needing to save various NPCs is right in line with the idea of being a hero that is so central to Hercules. I've also always liked the mountain climb itself, with the branching paths and the ancient ruins strewn about. The area being one continuous climb upwards really makes you feel the progress you make as you ascend. Despite how varied these three areas are, they just work so well together that I don't think twice about it. So yeah, Olympus has immaculate vibes. Is this my Hercules bias showing again? For sure, but I'm not ashamed to admit it. Next up we have Kingdom Hearts 3's version of Twilight Town, and yeah, this one still has immaculate vibes. Am I sad that it's pretty much only the Tram Common, Forest, and Mansion? Yes, but it's still Twilight Town. The town's use of colors, the eternal sunset, the music, it's all still the same. Plus, the numerous NPCs all make the town feel more lived in. Do I wish we could have seen more of the world? Absolutely. But Kingdom Hearts 3 Twilight Town still has immaculate vibes. They can never make me hate you, Twilight Town. Now we reach the first new world from KH3 with Toy Box, and of course this one has top tier vibes. Every area in this world is painstakingly detailed to make you feel like a toy. Obviously, Andy's room and the street outside his house are iconic locations that are beautifully recreated here, but the toy store itself is really where this world shines. The interactable objects, from the mech toys to the breakable displays to the physics of the ball pit, as well as the multiple floors of different types of toy displays, all work so well to enhance this feeling. And the music, being an incredible instrumental of You've Got a Friend in Me, is so good. How could I place this one anywhere but the top tier? Toy Box has immaculate vibes. Next up, we have Kingdom of Corona, which is one that I've always really liked. The world itself is more linear than the other KH3 worlds we've talked about so far, but I think it works really well with the context that you are trying to get to a specific place. Each section of the world also does a good job of feeling varied and different, from the forest near Rapunzel's tower, to the swamp area, to the rocky cliffs, to the meadows before the town, and eventually the town itself. It's made even more impressive by the lack of any loading screens before the town. And the town is also made incredibly well with small details and a bunch of NPCs. Everything from the lighting to the music to the visuals all help to evoke the same feeling of unfettered joy that Rapunzel feels upon seeing the beauty of the world with her own eyes for the first time. A feeling that is only magnified by the little activities you can do with her throughout the world. I've been going back and forth on which tier to put this world in, but I honestly think I just convinced myself while writing this script. Kingdom of Corona has immaculate vibes. We go from 4 heavy hitters right off the bat to one of my least favorite worlds in the game, especially in terms of vibes. Monstropolis is the Monsters Inc. world, which is one you'd think I would really resonate with, as I love both Monsters Inc. and Monsters University, but the vibes for this one are just a bit off for me. The lobby and the laugh floor areas, as well as the door vault, are really well done, but the rest of the world is just kind of a miss for me. It feels kind of industrial or just a generic factory in its aesthetic, and not a lot of it screams Monsters Inc. to me. Pun fully intended. Yes, I did make the exact same joke twice in the video, and no, I will not apologize. I do like how the outdoor areas look with the nighttime setting, especially during the part where you have to skydive down into a lower part of the world. But yeah, I just can't really think of any strong positives or negatives for this one. Monstropolis is chill. Next up, we have KH3's rendition of 100 Acre Wood, and yeah, this is the worst of the 3 in my opinion. It's mainly due to the world only being one area, that being Rabbit's house. I think the smaller structure of the world and lack of places to explore does hurt the overall vibes of the world, as it cuts out the feeling of jumping into different scenes of a storybook. I do love the art style change for this world though. The cozy factor is still there with the soft colors and music, and it being a minigame world. I also love the expanse beyond the Rabbit's house area, giving a feel that there's more out there. However, I will not forgive the complete Eeyore erasure. What are you doing, Square? Regardless, I can't place this one as high as its previous iterations. KH3 100 Acre Wood is chill. Now we have everyone's favorite Kingdom Hearts 3 world with Arendelle. And this is one that I think my opinion of the world changes drastically on if we're talking about the level design itself or the vibes. From a level design standpoint, this is probably my least favorite world in the game, but from a vibe standpoint, it's honestly great. I love the wintry aesthetic of the world and how each area, despite being very similar, still manages to offer interesting sights, like the snow-blasted rocks near the peak of the mountain, or the trees in the area where you need to fix Olaf. The Ice Labyrinth area, while the most interesting in terms of level design, is probably the least interesting in terms of vibes for me. Sure, it does a good job of feeling like you're trapped in a labyrinth from both the dull gray visuals and the close quarters design, but I just don't think I like it as much as the exterior areas of the world. And that music field theme for the world is just so good. So yeah, while I do think the world is vibey as hell, it does lose points for a lack of variety. We're vibing with Arendelle. Moving to a much warmer climate with the next entry, which is the Caribbean, which is this game's version of Port Royal from Kingdom Hearts 2. And yeah, this one is so much better. The world itself features a much more expansive and detailed Port Royal, NPCs included this time, as well as a vast explorable ocean with different islands and landmarks to find various treasures on. It's very reminiscent of The Wind Waker and Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag in that way, and if you know anything about me, you know that I love those games. Is it a bit strange for someone who has a fear of the ocean and aversion to boats to enjoy games like this? Probably, but I think the sense of adventure offered by them helped me face my fears in a way. And that feeling of adventure is definitely present here in the Caribbean. It does a much better job of tapping into that pirate feeling than Port Royal and Kingdom Hearts 2. Each island feels unique and offers a good amount of content that has me never feeling bored. I always love completing the treasure list and finding all the lucky emblems in this world. This is also the best looking of the live action inspired worlds, hands down. So yeah, the Caribbean easily has immaculate vibes. We've reached the final Disney World of the video with San Francisco. Much like the Caribbean, this world is way more open, with it only featuring one large area of the world that just changes slightly depending on the time of day. I love the vibes for both the night and day versions, but I am always a sucker for the lights of a city setting during the night. The world itself also acts as a perfect playground for your movement abilities, which helps with that superhero feeling. I also love how the buildings and districts of each part of the city feel different, which helps the city to not feel like a monolith. Where I think San Francisco stumbles a bit is that it doesn't really tap into those hero vibes as much as it could have, especially since we had the whole section of saving NPCs in Olympus at the start of the game. The content offered in the world just makes it feel like something is lacking. Still though, I do dig the vibes of the world overall. We're vibing with San Francisco. We'll finish off with a trio of final worlds that act as the climax of Kingdom Hearts 3. First up, we have the Keyblade Graveyard, and yeah, I don't have much to say about this one. It's got the same vibes as it did in BBS. That empty, barren feeling mixed with the visuals of a war-torn landscape make it feel like a long dead world. It's a grave. The new ruin areas that act as arenas for the fights against Organization 13 also play into this feeling, as it adds another layer of mystery surrounding what this world used to be. So yeah, the Keyblade Graveyard still has immaculate vibes. Now we reach the capital F, capital W final world, and of course this one gets the top tier. We don't spend much time here in-game, but its existence as a place where hearts of people with lingering attachments to the living world stay before moving on creates this depressing yet somehow beautiful feel. And speaking of beautiful, the visuals here are stunning. The endless expanse of water reflecting a bright blue sky is beautiful beyond words. And the music is incredible by adding a feel of unease underneath the comforting visuals of the world. The final world, also being related to the dive to the heart, is a great reveal as it makes it feel familiar in a way. Yeah, the final world has immaculate vibes. I don't think I need to defend myself on this one. Finally, we reach the last world that we will be ranking for this video, and we end off with an incredibly strong one in Scala ad Caelum. This world is one we only briefly got to see as a part of the final battle in the base version of Kingdom Hearts 3, but Remind gave us a whole new area to explore. Scala is another world that is incredibly beautiful. The white buildings mixed with the open-air plazas and light shining from clear blue skies makes for an incredible aesthetic. There is a sense of grandeur here that can be linked to its legacy of Keyblade wielders. I also love how the world is empty both from a lore and story perspective. For the former, it reflects how only a few Keyblade wielders remained by the time Xehanort arrived in the world for the first time. For the latter, it symbolizes how alone Xehanort actually is. It also adds a creepy factor to the world. It almost feels like the people all just disappeared one day as they went about their daily lives. There's no sign of some great destruction or upheaval. It's like they all just vanished. And this feeling is enhanced by the music. The field theme has this incredibly lonely undertone, but still retains a feeling of some of that grand legacy being present in the empty halls of Scala. The battle theme, on the other hand, evokes a feeling in me of something fighting desperately to hold on to the last pieces of itself. Scala is just great, and I hope we get to see more of it in Kingdom Hearts 4 whenever that game releases. Scala ad Caelum has immaculate vibes. So here is the final tier list of the worlds in Kingdom Hearts ranked by vibes. None of the tiers themselves are ordered, and remember, this tier list has been approved by Mickey Mouse himself, so please direct any complaints to him. So there you have it. That was my ranking of the worlds in Kingdom Hearts by vibes. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a lot of fun being able to talk about Kingdom Hearts again. Please let me know what you thought about the list or what changes you'd make in the comments down below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and organize against the McDuck Industries House of Mouse political lobby. Don't let the people of Disneytown suffer under tyranny. Thank you as always for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week.